Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our, I guess it's the last Sunday service in August. As most of you know, we are suspending in-person services for obviously the rest of August, but we do want to also inform you that we are going to suspend in-person services through the month of September. And so, it's unfortunate, but as all of you know, with the increased numbers of cases, we just want to be safe and make sure that everyone stays safe. And so we are going to suspend in-person services in September. Probably mid-September, at the latest, maybe the third week of September, we'll have an announcement and we'll have more information about October. But for September, we will be suspending in-person services. But we will continue to stream services virtually, so hopefully you will be able to join us virtually for the Sunday services moving forward. So if you can all please rise for the singing of the Gatha, Three Treasures, which is on page 125. Sorry, hang on one second. Now will you please remain standing if you're standing for the Gatha Ti-Sarana and the Three Treasures, which is on page 17 and 18.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa buddham saranam gacchami Difficult is it to receive life in human form, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Buddha Dharma, now we hear it. If we do not receive awakening in the present life, then in what life can we hope to receive it? Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we, together as one, begin on the great path of enlightenment, holding in our hearts the supreme aspiration. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we, together as one, enter the storehouse of the Dharma and attain true wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we, together as one, uniting in harmony, strive to live for the enlightenment of all beings. The incomparable, deep, and profound Dharma is difficult to encounter even through countless ages of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive it. Let us endeavor to thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Buddha Dharma. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Okay, now we will have the chanting of the Shoshinge on page 20. Thank you. Let's see here. So, as many of you know, Reverend Peter will be retiring from his position as a staff minister, and and so just real quick on that. I think this pandemic has obviously, been a terrible situation for all of us. And, many people have lost lives, many families have lost loved ones, we've lost friends. And so, that's obviously the worst thing. But on a more selfish note, on a personal note, it's just been terrible because we haven't been able to have in-person services, and at an event like this, when we're saying thank you to someone, it's really unfortunate that we can't have all the members here. And then we've also had, in the past few months, we had the Fujis leave for Japan again. We had Reverend Okada last year moved to Hawaii, and so there've been a lot of situations or a lot of events where we couldn't have all of the temple members here, and and again, that's been really unfortunate. Reverend Peter, though, I think he is a kind of a private person. He doesn't like to be the center of attention like I do, and so maybe he's okay with this. But at the same time, it is unfortunate that we can't have all the temple members here today. But I'm hopeful that in the not too distant future, we'll be able to have everyone all together again, and we'll be able to sort of thank him in person for everything he did. But along that note, I'd like to ask our temple president, who is here, Mr. Wayne Itoga, to present something and to say a few words.
Thank you, Shin. Hi. So it's a beautiful day to honor the Reverend Peter Hata on the occasion of his retirement. I did write something out, but then I asked people to share memories about Reverend Peter, and I think it comes better from the people who really just spoke from the heart and really recalled their experience with him. So I'll share those comments with you because they really summarize Reverend Peter's time with us. Before serving at the Betsuine, when did you start with us, Reverend Peter, in West Covina there? At West Covina? 1989. So that's a heck of a long time. So I really appreciate how he incorporates his love and interpretation of music and the arts into his talks. It makes me think about the lyrics and how to listen to songs in a different way. For example, he spoke of Time of Your Life by Green Day, Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles, and the movie Little Buddha. I hope he will get to present his Star Wars-themed seminar soon, a casualty of COVID. I'm happy he has talked about retirement, giving him time to have more music in his life. In the past COVID-19 year and a half, he regularly conducted services from his home and in doing so, allowed the temple and teachings to be available for all of us. And somehow he has managed to keep the Dharma Seeds generations going. His wife, Diane, has also been wonderful in her involvement in the temple. I feel like she is always present, supporting everyone and everything. Temple cleaning for reopening, cookie making, choir, downtown women's center volunteering, obon booths, and on and on. He often references his teachers and influences, and I know I'll do the same when thinking of Reverend Peter. Reverend Peter is the reason I became a member of Higashi Honganji. It was his openness to answering all my questions, both in a class setting and via email, that made me comfortable enough to begin attending service and temple activities. If it weren't for Reverend Peter, I would likely be a nightstand Buddhist, just reading books about Buddhism and trying to reflect on them alone. I've been able to grow personally and learn about the Dharma so much more deeply because of Reverend Peter. He initiated the Wednesday night study class and has for years guided a group of us to consider teachings through historical, philosophical explorations and everyday meaningful life reflections. He's encouraged me to pursue my interests in Buddhist teachings and especially how it helps me connect to others. He's helped me dive deeper through recommended readings and opportunities to present and share my thoughts, providing extra support when I didn't have the confidence to do it on my own. He has demonstrated to me the wisdom and compassion of a Buddhist teacher, inspiring me to see the wisdom and compassion in all people. My trust in the Dharma is due largely to Reverend Peter's guidance, and I cannot be more grateful for this gift. I appreciate his openness, patience, persistence, and encouragement. They are reminders of how we can support others in their own journeys. I think if a lot of us retire, we hope people will remember us as kindly. So this isn't really goodbye, Reverend Peter. I know we'll see you again, and I know we'll hear from you as often as you agree to do a Dharma talk. You will be remembered and thought of kindly. We do have a plaque for you. It's clear, so I'm trying not to touch it. Get a lot of fingerprints. So would you like to come up and we'll... I'm sorry? Yes, I will. So here you go. That's really lovely. And it says, in appreciation, Reverend Peter Hata, for more than 7 years of exemplary service as minister of the Higashi Honganji Los Angeles Betsuin, August 31st, 2021. And in addition to the plaque, the temple has also given you a gift certificate to the BCA bookstore, and they'll send you an email with that certificate. So would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you very much, Wayne, and that was really a wonderful thank you from that person about my activities here at the temple. I would just say that whoever that person was and people who felt similarly appreciating what I've done here, I think, as I've said many times, it's really, in a sense, not so much about the people of the temple, and even not so much about a particular minister or teacher. It's really about this wonderful tradition that we have. And so I think, a tradition, of course, is a interconnected, interdependent group of people that are all studying the same teaching together. So in that sense, whatever I did here was really supported by the Sangha and the tradition. And so I just want to say thank you to all the members of Higashi Honganji Buddhist Temple, everyone, for sort of enabling and supporting this wonderful Pure Land tradition that we have at Higashi Honganji. So thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wayne, for presenting and representing the temple. And and I think as Wayne mentioned, this isn't like Reverend Peter is like moving to Antarctica or anything. And so he's still going to be in West Covina, I believe. And so, as far as I know, and so we'll see him hopefully periodically and maybe even regularly. And it's not like he's leaving us completely. He's just sort of stepping down from his day-to-day responsibilities at the temple. And so I think that's the thing about, this whole virtual streaming also. It's going to allow us to continue to listen to his talks and and listen to some of his interesting perspectives. And so we're looking forward to that next chapter with Reverend Peter. So moving forward, the Rinban would like to say a few words, and this is sort of part of his Dharma talk.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the service this morning. It is the final service of the summer and of August, and next week, because of Labor Day, we'll be on a vacation. So 2 weeks from today, we'll have our September Shotsuki Memorial Service. Today, I have the opportunity to present the Dharma talk, and today is different. Today, as most of you know, or I mean, all of you know now, is the last Sunday service that is being conducted with Reverend Peter Hata. And most of you know he is retiring as an active minister of the temple of the Los Angeles Higashonganji Betsuing. We are, of course, sad to see him retire as a staff minister of this temple, having served 7.5 years now. And when combined with the 2 years that he spent as the resident minister at the West Covina Higashonganji, he served for just under 10 years. We were very fortunate to have him here for those years, and we wish him and his wife Diane well in their future endeavors. Upon announcing his decision, he said that he is retiring as a minister of this temple, but he isn't resigning as a minister of the Higashi Honganji, the Shinshu Otaniha denomination. So I think, as our chairperson mentioned, we can be reassured to know that he will join us, perhaps as a speaker for a seminar or for a major service in the future. The primary reason for his decision, as you all know, is that he has had to put his music on the back burner because being a minister was a full-time job and didn't allow him to spend so much time doing what he loves most, which is playing music. I think we all agree that we should try to focus on what we want to do with the rest of our lives. Reverend Peter and I've mentioned these kinds of things before, but go back a long way, way back into the late 60s, into the 70s, in the 70s, I guess, in the late 60s and into the 70s, we were both students at Occidental College. And although I was, I think, 2 years, maybe 1 or 2 years ahead of him, we didn't really know each other at the time. It was a little later that I got to know him as the lead guitarist of Hiroshima. And I had known Dan Kuramoto and Jun from before, and then later I met Peter. And so way back in the 70s, before they released their first album, they were basically a community band and would play here and there at dances and at special occasions. And so in 1979, when Janet and I got married, we were able to have Hiroshima play at our wedding anniversary, or wedding reception, sorry. And their first album was released very soon after that, and they became a well-known and respected band, basically worldwide, and they stopped doing community events like wedding receptions. And so we were really fortunate to have been able to have them play to commemorate our wedding. Probably from before then, friends, including Janet, would go every week to hear them play at this small club called Baby Lion. And in September of 1979, Janet and I moved to Tokyo to live there for 3 years. And so not long after we found an apartment and settled down, Hiroshima came on their first tour to Japan. And so we were kind of like groupies and went to every concert that they did, even all the way to Osaka. And we even got involved, we got invited to go to a TV studio to see them perform. And it was really interesting, kind of like a really Japanese kind of thing where they surprised June Kuramoto by bringing in her aunt that she hadn't seen for a long time. And it was one of those kind of like tearful but very happy reunions. And then I remember taking them to Akihabara, the electronic capital of Japan. At any rate, I remember getting to know Peter better then. Sometime after that, I had returned from Tokyo and started again as minister of this temple. And one day, I saw Diane and Peter and their sons, Dean and Kevin, sitting in the pews right over there somewhere. And I was really surprised to see, their whole family here. And they were living in Rosemead at the time. And since Diane grew up at the Midwest Buddhist Temple in Chicago, she wanted to have their sons grow up with Buddhism. And I was really kind of surprised to see Peter there as well. And I remember that the first few times they would come, Diane and the boys would come up to offer incense, but Peter would stay in his seat. And he told me later that he had a hard time accepting the custom of bowing one's head facing the Buddha. But as time passed, he began to start learning about Buddhism and to accept and respect our traditions. And then in June of 1988, I was transferred to the West Covina Buddhist Temple, and it was coincidentally around that time that the Hatas moved to Covina, very close to the temple. And so they started to come to that temple, and Diane joined the Dharma school teaching staff. And soon after, I invited Peter to join the board of directors. And he became more and more active, and not long after that, the temple bought a house that was to serve as not only the residence for the minister and his family, but also a gathering place for meetings and for the Dharma gatherings for the Japanese-speaking members, the Hoakai. And Peter used to come regularly to help me do things for the house, replace old electrical outlets, climbing under the crawl space below and so forth. And then eventually, Peter became the editor of the Gateway, the West Covina newsletter, which we called Living Dharma. We had members write articles about Buddhism in their daily lives, and Peter did so much to improve many aspects of the temple. Then in November 1993, I returned from West Covina to this temple to assume the position of Rinban. And Reverend Motohiro Kiyota took over as resident minister. And Peter did so much to help the new minister and his family get established at West Covina. Eventually, Reverend Kiyota returned to Japan, and Reverend Kenjin Kawata took over as the minister of West Covina. This was a really important event in Peter's life because Reverend Kawata, having been groomed in Shin Buddhism by the late Rinban Kyoko Saito during their time together in Los Angeles. And so Reverend Ken took it upon himself to teach Shin Buddhism to whoever wanted to learn. And there were three members who were excited to learn on a more deeper level. One was Peter, another was Frederick Brennan, and the third was Tor Ormseth. And eventually, due to Reverend Ken's thorough instruction in Shin Buddhism, two of the three, Peter and Fred, as you know, were encouraged to become ordained. And so Peter and Fred received Tokudo ordination on July 7th of 2011, and then received Kyoshi, the so-called teaching credentials, on April 26th, 2012. Peter was assigned to be minister on October 1st, 2012, when Reverend Ken was transferred to Hawaii to become the Rinban and Kantoku, or bishop over there. He then transferred to the Betsuin in February 2014, so a little over 7.5 years ago. Both Peter and Fred took seriously the encouragement to study diligently. Both are academics, and both are, as you know, very, very intelligent. And through Reverend Kawata and others, Reverend Peter continued to study. The other main teacher in his life, I believe, is Dr. Nobuo Haneda, the head of the Maida Center of Buddhism up in Berkeley. I've always found it pretty amazing that neither of them, Peter nor Fred, studied at a Buddhist college or a seminary like most of us did. But Reverend Peter has studied under a couple of very fine teachers and has continued to study through the books that are available to us. Peter often amazes me with his level of comprehension of the Shin Buddhist teachers or teachings. We receive the encouragement from Shinran Shonin that we continue throughout our lives to study the Buddha Dharma, the teaching of Namu Amida Butsu. That Reverend Peter has continued to remember that encouragement is amazing. He has truly become a Shinshu Buddhist and a person who can share the Buddha Dharma with whoever is interested in learning. He shows us what it means to be a genuine Jodo Shinshu follower and really lives up to the encouragement that we receive. There are two words in Japanese, monpo, which means listening to the Dharma, or chomon, to listen diligently. And I think that Peter has lived up to those encouragements on a very deep and lasting way. So on behalf of all of us, I wish to thank Reverend Peter Hata for the years of service to our Betsuin and also to the members of Escovina, as well as those who have heard his Dharma lessons at temples here and there, and with all of us, his Dharma friends. As our President Wayne mentioned, Peter led the Wednesday night study class. He was a speaker at many seminars and retreats, and of course, Dharma talks given on Sundays. So I hope we can follow in his footsteps in our efforts to continue to learn from the teachings. He will remain as a minister of our denomination, and so although we will give him some time to rest and to pick up where he left off in his music, but look forward to opportunities to continue to learn from him on the occasions when we can have him back to speak here at future services, at retreats and seminars as well. I will echo the comments of our President Wayne Itoga in representing the entire Sangha to thank Reverend Peter Hata and also Mrs. Diane Hata for the tremendous service that they have given to us over the last 8 years or so. And so thank you all for listening.
皆様おはようございます。今日はようこそ8月の最後の日曜日の日曜礼拝にご参加いただきました。今日は皆さんもご存知かと思いますんですけども、畑ピーター開教師の最後の日曜日に日曜礼拝になりまして、これからは本来の仕事っていいますかの音楽に戻りたいということで、フルタイムの開教師は今日31日をもって、辞めることになりました。それは別院にとっては非常に残念なんですけども、でもやっぱり畑開教師はもともとは音楽家でありまして、その音楽、大学で音楽を教えたり、また大昔は広島っていうバンドの、素晴らしいリードギターで、なんていうんですか、成長されたんです。でそういうその音楽家である畑氏がこ このお寺に、大昔に奥さんのおすすめで、子供と一緒に、お参りをされて、で最初はちょっと抵抗を感じたらしいんですけども、徐々に仏法を聞き続けて、それから本当に真宗門徒になられたんです。で長年ウェスコビナの方のメンバーであったり、またそこで2年間会表師も務めたんですけども、そこの川田賢順会教師が赴任されたその頃に、川田氏とフレッド・ブレニオンと一生懸命勉強されて、それで、いずれはそのお二人が日本で読道を受けて、でそれから教師として、この別院を含めはもちろん、それからウェスコビナとかバークレーとかニューポートビーチの北米海峡区のお寺に貢献をしていただいたことであります。お二人とも私たちのように日本で勉強したり、またはちゃんとした大学で勉強したりしたことはないんですけども、お二人とも本当にもう頭の切れる方で、本当に仏教を一生懸命勉強されて、それで親鸞上人のおすすめの弔問門法を本当に心にかけてずっと続けて門法をしておられる姿を見て、いつも私はなんていうんですか、すごいなと思っていたことなんです。これからはもう70歳になられて、音楽に戻りたいということで、そっちの方にまた戻るんですけども、やはり別院の開教師を辞めるけども、新正谷派の僧侶としてはこれからも活躍したいということを言われておりますので、お寺の大法要だとか、またセミナーだとかリトリート、そういうような門法会にまた定期的に来ていただいて、定期的にまた私の面白いまたは深いご法話をいただくことができるかと思います。毎週にはここにはいなくなるということは悲しいですけども、これからもずっと続けて一緒に勉強し、門法を続けていきたいと思います。これからはピーター氏も、そういう音楽とかで頑張っていただきたいと思っております。でそれとともに、皆様に代わりまして、彼に感謝、彼と奥さんのダイアンに、本当にご貢献ありがとうございますというお礼を申し上げたいと思います。ありがとうございました。
Thank you, Rinban. And again, thank you, Reverend Peter. So, I know we'll see you soon. Let's see here. So, we are going to try to, actually, no, we have some announcements. So, there are still a few of you who put a check mark on the order form for the Montoya lanterns and have not picked them up yet. And so if you could please contact the temple office and make arrangements to pick the Montoya lanterns up. And as I mentioned at the very beginning, and as the Rinban mentioned in his talk, next week is the Labor Day weekend, so the temple will be closed, so there will be no Sunday service and no streaming of services. But the following Sunday, the second Sunday in September, will be Shotsuki service, and it will be virtual, and all services in September will be virtual. and stay tuned for announcements maybe the second or third week of September about how we're going to approach October services. So we appreciate everybody's understanding and cooperation, and we hope all of you will stay safe. So now we are going to have the singing of Ondokusan II, which is on page 54, if we can get this to work properly. So if you can all please rise for the singing of Ondokusan II, which is on page 54. Sorry, I always seem to have an issue with this. Okay, well, maybe we'll have to just sing it. I'm not sure. It could be a connection problem. So we're going to just sing it a cappella. So Ondokusan II, led by Wayne, Reverend Hata, and the Rinban. Ready? Okay, here we go. Actually, I like that better. So I'm glad we had technical issues. So anyways, thank you for participating and watching the virtual service for the last Sunday service in August. Please stay hydrated, stay as cool as you can. It's going to be another hot day today. Enjoy the rest of the summer. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and we'll see you on the second Sunday in September. And the Rinban has one more thing to say.
日本語でアナウンス申し上げます。9月の日曜日は、なんていうんですか、皆様に来ていただくことができないということになりまして、インターネットで発信することであります。で、10月はまだわからないんですけども、おそらく9月の3週目あたりに、10月に皆様にお参り実際にできるかどうかのことを決めます。ですからとにかく9月はこうやってストリーミング発信のサービスでなります。お彼岸法要も発信いたします。はい、ありがとうございます。Also, 10 or less? Oh, is it not 25? Okay. Also, I was asked to make an announcement regarding memorial services and funeral services, and for at least for the month of September, we can have memorial services and funeral services here in the temple, but the limit will be 10 persons. ご法事とか葬儀はお寺で、執行することはできますんですけども、人数制限がありまして、10人以内で、お勤めさせていただくということであります。はい、ありがとうございます。
Okay, thank you. So anyways, that concludes our Sunday service for August 26th, I believe, no, 29th. And so please enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.